Yeah, fuck it, go live. Um, Alright, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, so I was like starting to talk and shit, and all the while I hadn't clicked the go live button on YouTube. Um, so yeah, I just have this private. Okay, now we're actually doing something sweet. Alright, I don't want to hear myself talk. It's gonna be weird to hear myself double. Let's see if anyone actually shows up to these. Let's get my music back a little bit lower. All right. Hopefully the volume is fine. It sounds fine on my end. All right. So this is gonna be another anime chart editing video slash just rambling, I guess. If people show up, they're probably gonna want to know what happened to artificial night sky, among other things. So all questions will be asked in and hopefully answered in due time. Let's see. I don't know. I'm not sure if the chat will start to populate, but I'm going to start going anyways. Of course, everything will be archived afterwards. I have the chat replay on. And I guess that's about it. Hopefully it's not too loud outside my house because I live off a somewhat busy street. It's a Saturday, so there shouldn't be any rush hour or anything like that. But, you know, people drive by in their straight pipe Civics all the time, so... Oh, there we go. There's Lurker. So this is working, it seems. Alright, so I'm just going to be editing some anime charts. Nothing too fancy. And then people will probably be asking stuff, talking. Safe XP, hello. So for those who don't remember, the last time I did one of these streams, I edited a bunch of anime charts. I'm going to go through my first, like the general recommendation ones first, and then I'm going to go through some of the other ones, just depending on how much time I have. Probably just like an hour and a half or so. I don't want to go too long. Alright, so first one here. Last time I did one of these anime editing charts was, shoot, when was it? I think this was almost, no, this had to have been like a year ago. I think it was last summer I did a stream or something for the first time. Oh wait, no, it wasn't last summer. It was 2 summers ago because I was still living in my old house. So it's been a while, and in that time I've watched at least 300 anime, so I'm going to have a decent amount of stuff to cross off. So I'm just going to start to go through some of that. Let's get a red. Make that shit a little bigger. I think 15's good. Let's see if I've seen anything here. I almost watched Turn A. I didn't watch it yet. And this chart is nearly completed. No, I did watch Scrap Princess recently. And I did watch Monster for my 1000th anime. That's such a weird word to say. 1000th. But otherwise, I think that's about it for this one. This one's a little bit more general. I don't go off this one. Hold on. No, I just want to save this. Auto detect. This one isn't that interesting of a chart either. It's like a weird mix of certain anime you might not typically expect to see on a recommendation chart, like Onisama is on there, and whatever Young Hanada is. I haven't seen that one. Anyways. Momoe Tegami, only yesterday. Another Scrap Princess. I don't know why this show shows up so much on the recommendation charts. I watched it like a week ago, primarily because I saw it referenced a lot on some of these charts, as well as a couple of videos back in the day I remember seeing about it. talking about how it was a really cool fantasy show. It's not that good. It's very, very JRPG-y, and it's a prime example of like when Japan injects too much of its culture into a show that doesn't necessarily require to have it in there. Like it's a show that's very much a high fantasy story, and but there's characters who are eating like ramen and shit in there with noodles, and it just sort of clashes with the tone that they're going for, and I really dislike it when shows do that. Um, I don't know. It'd be like if like in The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, he was eating a cheeseburger or something. Like I kind of get why they might do that because it makes sense to them within context, but like as an outsider, it just seems kind of goofy. All right, this is the one. Yeah, this is a big chart that I refer to a lot. Let me shrink my little paintbrush a little bit. I'm gonna go this way. There's a lot of stuff on here. I really hope I don't miss anything. I watched Yamato 2199, not the original. So that one's gonna stay there. I watched Technolize. That was the anime I watched for my 1100th show. I'm actually on the verge of completing 1200 anime. That show is gonna be Eureka 7. I'm in the middle of, well, not really in the middle of it. I have like 4 episodes left. Yeah, I'm on episode 46. So I have a couple episodes left of that one. Let's see here. Back to the chart, I guess. Mushishi I could cross off as well. Mushishi is such a good show. I ended up watching it for, I think, number 900 or something like that. But I ended up watching all the subsequent seasons of it just because it was really interesting. Lurker, I do have a Mal. Yeah, I'll show it. Give me a second here to pull that shit up. And that kind of reminds me of something. I'm just Parz on Mal, Parz. But I sometimes get random friend requests from people. And like if I don't immediately recognize who they are, and if there's someone with like 100 people that they have on their friends list, then I will probably reject them. So if you are gonna friend me on Mal, just say I know you from YouTube or something, or like WordPress or just whatever. No, I don't mind adding people. It's just I don't like having randoms because there will be people that just seem like they're adding people so they could have a giant stack of people on their friends list or something. Yeah, I do have a Mal. It's Parz. For all the world to see. I'm just gonna tentatively cross out Eureka 7 since I was mentioning it. I was watching it for my 1200th anime. Right here. This isn't updated. I'm on episode 46. But it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. We're close. Speaking of Eureka 7, we have Bonen no Zamd. Zamadou. Bonen no Zamd. This is a show that I can't remember if this was a Bones production as well. I feel like it was. Yes, it also was a Bones show released in 2008. Or Eureka 7 was a little bit earlier. I think that was 05 or something. Shoot. You know, this is my number one pet peeve right now with Mal. Oh. That if you click on the recommendations, it's all broken because I got a different script and shit. But this one was 05, like I said. But the reason why I brought that up is because I watched Bonen no Zamd first, and I really liked the show. It was one it was kind of a show that caught me off guard, that it was not something I would typically watch, but I ended up enjoying it regardless. And it's compared a lot to Eureka 7, since they're both like coming of age Bildungsroman type of shows, featuring robots, and they're kind of like post Sekai K shows. Sekai K being kind of like what's that one show? But like the Makoto Shinkai does a lot of Sekai K type of things. Um, but anyways, those shows are often compared, and I ended up liking Zammed more. Even though I'm not done with Eureka 7, I'm not really enjoying my time with it. Though I did like One Outs. One Outs is pretty neat. It wasn't as good as Kaiji, obviously, but I did end up enjoying it, and I had fun binge watching that one over this past summer. There was a weekend during the summer where I binge watched One Outs and Wangan Midnight, both in the same week. I think I watched almost all of Wangan Midnight in one day. What else is on here? Scrapped Princess once again. Like it's been on almost every single one of these charts, and it has no right to be on any of them because it's not actually that good of a show. All right, that concludes this one. Every time I'm saving it at 95% quality, so the image just slowly degrades over time. Let's see, how long have we been going? All right, I've been going for about 13 minutes. I guess I could ramble a little bit about what happened to Artificial Night Sky as I'm kind of going through these things. So like most people know, the Artificial Night Sky YouTube channel was removed. I did not delete it. I ended up waking up the day after I uploaded or re-uploaded Eternal Sunshine of the Javeless Mind, and I got an email from YouTube staff stating that my channel was just straight up terminated because of what I presume to be a severe infringement on their policy regarding sexual content. And to me, it kind of seems extreme, especially if because like with the rules are intentionally vague. It's essentially whatever they deem to be extreme enough that they can. Oh, speaking of annual hair wash, but whatever they deem to be sexual to infringe upon their policy, then they could remove it, and their wording is made so that they could say, "Hey, if I don't like how your video is, then I could delete it, but someone else could get 3 strikes." So it's completely up to the moderation team. Yeah, exactly. It was way too based for YouTube. That's what some people said. But they just took down the entire channel. I was like, okay, that it's kind of a bummer, but at the same time, I had everything backed up. So besides losing the comments, I don't feel like I lost anything. At least anything significant, I guess. I would have liked to have everything archived, but I didn't have the foresight to do that. But all the videos, all the thumbnails, descriptions, I think even the live stream I did once or twice, I have those archived. Because I sort of, not predicted, but I anticipated this I anticipated this would happen eventually. Because when I initially made my YouTube channel, Artificial Night Sky, I made a new channel on one of my secondary Gmail accounts because I sort of expected there to be some sort of problem with the video when I uploaded it onto YouTube, and I didn't expect it to be on there forever because one, the subject matter is pornography, and I was going to be prominently featuring clips from various JAV movies, and 2, there was a lot of copyrighted music that I was using in there, stuff from like the Dark Knight soundtrack and some Linkin Park and A couple other like classical pieces, but like sometimes those are flagged as well for whatever reason. But I intentionally uploaded it onto Mega as well back in the day, because I kind of expected that to happen, but I covered my ass by using it on a secondary Gmail, a secondary channel on a secondary Gmail account. So just in case like YouTube decided to nuke everything, it wouldn't get my main YouTube account, which is the one I watch stuff on, like my personal one. Um, but yeah, they took down everything. I'm gonna be re-uploading everything again, like an artificial night sky version 2 or something like that. All the videos are just gonna go back up, and I'm gonna be linking it similar to how it was linked on my second channel. I'm just gonna toss it on there, so it'll be pretty easy to find. People who follow the blog, all the links will be uploaded or updated there as well. Yeah, I think that's the general gist of what happened. I'd say it's pretty. They have some double standards, honestly, and everybody sort of knows that. During the researching and getting footage for the second video, I decided to use and replace some clips with videos and footage that Amy Fukada herself uploaded onto her own YouTube channel, because she does have a YouTube channel with like a million subscribers. Like you could look it up, Amy Fukada YouTube, 1 million subscribers, and you look at some of those thumbnails and they're like risque as fuck. But like you click on the videos and none of them are age restricted. A lot of them are like kind of sketchy, and some of them like there was one clip in particular that I used and that I watched back in the day when I was originally doing research for the first cut of the video. That it was basically her doing like a vlog about what it's like to be a Jav actress throughout the day, and it was like heavily censored, but she uploaded stuff regardless. And I just, it's obviously double standards that someone like that can upload just kind of whatever they want, and my video was taken down even though I went through great lengths to censor it. Hello, area sucks. Yeah, definitely gonna do a rebirth. Artificial Night Sky 2.0. All the videos are gonna come back. I'm not sure if other people, like other YouTube content creators out there, do this, but I archive everything I make, along with all the original source files. At least for most like the important ones. Like the reason I was able to do like a second cut of Eternal Sunshine of the Javeless Mine is because I kept all the source files. I had the Premiere timeline still there, and I just ended up making edits on the actual thing. And yeah, thanks, Liquor. The music was keynote, absolutely. I had a lot of fun making that one. And that was the first video I did, and I don't know. I guess I'm a pretty big music nerd, so I got into that, editing, and trying to pick music based off like the type of mood at whatever I was trying to set. Time to crack open a monster. Alright. Some more anime chart editing in the meanwhile. Cromartie High School I watched. I don't like that line. Straight a line. Alright, that's about it for this one. I kind of expected to have seen a little bit more, but I guess it is what it is. Alright, I said hold on. You are him? Yeah, I am Artificial Night Sky. This is my second channel. I'm not sure if you knew that. I didn't advertise the second channel specifically on my main channel, because I do more like experimental stuff and more stupid stuff on here. Um, Thoughts on Monster? Monster 2004 is an excellent anime. Naoki Urasawa's Monster. Probably one of the best narrative-driven anime I've seen. The manga sort of blew my mind back in the day. In Monster, the drink is pretty good too. I'm currently drinking Ultra Fiesta Mango. I'm not sure which monster you're referring to specifically, but hopefully I answered both questions in one go. Razafan completed. Razafan was kind of weird. Like, stylistically, it was a really interesting show, but I wasn't too into that one. Speak of the Devil, Monster itself. Everybody should see Monster. It's such a good show. Let me get that bigger cursor out. Hey Tomo. Yeah, like I said, I made sort of an effort to make this channel a bit more obscure because I didn't want a lot of people finding it, so I didn't overtly try to advertise it. Hey Uzi, have you tried the Peachy Keen flavor Monster? I bought a 15 pack and finished it in a week. I like the Peachy Keen one. I found out I'm more of a fan of the fruity ones. Ultra Fiesta Mango is my favorite. I also really like Peachy Keen, like you said. And what's the green one? The green one kind of tastes like a Jolly Rancher. I like the flavor, but I don't think I could drink more than a few per week of that one because it's such a strong flavor. Thanks, Area. Well, yeah, I ordered a couple 24 packs of Monster on Amazon. Gotta keep those in stock. Scrap Princess again. Big O. Big O was a good show. Kind of looking through here. I did watch Amagami-sama. Both the OVA and the TV show, so I can actually mark that. Yeah, Uzi. If you're a fan of the fruity ones, peach and mango are pretty similar in flavor, I guess. I will also watch Hyako. Birdie, I recommend people to watch Birdie Decode, at least to get to the second season, because the second season was pretty incredible. But if you're a fan of Sakuga, you should be watching Birdie regardless. The show goes pretty hard with its animation. You have to dig to find gold on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Especially when you're first like searching for stuff, like if you're really like if you're trying to find anime content specifically or just anything in general, you're going to have to work through the surface level people to start to get to the more, how do I say it? Like the more specialized content creators, I guess. People who are a bit more into their niche and like might cater more specifically to something that you're interested in, because those people are out there, and if they're not, then you should, I don't know, try making videos yourself. It's a pretty decent hobby, I guess, and it's fun to make videos, at least in my opinion. Birdie got some nice fight animations. Yeah, I agree. Safe XP. It's pretty incredible what they did with the show. And yeah, for sure, some things do need to stay underground. Keep it underground. Gatekeep artificial night sky. That's about it for this one. Increasing levels of JPEG compression. Chroma. Shit. I'm doing this all with a mouse, so it's kind of all screwed up. Like some of these lines are all goofy. Yeah. Oh shoot. Eureka 7. I also finally watched JoJo. JoJo was actually the first manga I ever read, and I read it entirely backwards, the first volume. This was back in like 2013-ish. A little bit after the show started airing, I think. There was a guy I knew who got me into anime. And he basically put the first volume of JoJo into my hands and told me to read it. And ever since that day, all throughout high school, he was trying to convince me to watch the show. And I didn't get around to it until 2022. So it took a decent amount of time to get there. But I got there. I get to most things eventually. I just go about it in my own pace. I can't get into JoJo. The anime put me to sleep. I feel like I'd like the manga more. I can't say I'm a fan of JoJo. Like, it's kind of... I hate to say it, but it's certainly bizarre. And in ways that I didn't expect it to be, especially considering how mainstream it is. Like, there's some goofy as heck stuff in the show. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, is this the same show that everybody hypes up? I think it's just mostly for the memes, honestly. That people hype it up and talk about it so much. But yeah, I'm sure the manga is a little bit more interesting. I personally prefer the manga's art style. Because in motion, is it David Studio David Productions? They did a good job translating it, I guess, but it has a similar problem that a lot of other modern digital anime sort of falls into. That it ends up being kind of shiny. And sometimes it's just a lot of static shots of people talking, and it's not that interesting. I haven't watched or seen JoJo, but I feel like I should at some point just to see what everybody's talking about. Yeah, I'd say the first two parts of JoJo, like the first season, are honestly the best. Like I've only seen the first 3 parts, I think. At least I finished all of the Stardust Crusaders anime when the last time I left off, but the first 2 parts are by far the most enjoyable, honestly. Can't really say I'm a fan though. Technolize. And that's about it. There's some shows on here that I know I've been holding off on for a long time. But alas. Before you decide to be fat and make recommendations threads on try one of these. Alright, I've actually seen a couple of these. I've seen Hyako. I don't remember anything of this. It was like a fever dream. Oh shoot. Soko no Strain though. Soko no Strain was kind of good. It was... There's a couple episodes in the middle of this show that like are the most goofy things you will see in an otherwise pretty serious I don't want to say space opera because it's not really a space opera, but like it takes itself fairly seriously, and there's some really cool cuts of animation, some nice directing in there. Like they kind of knew what they were doing, but in the middle episodes, this fucking girl right here, like it just like it breaks character for a little bit, but otherwise it's a pretty interesting show. One of those unusual ones that were sort of forgotten in the 2000s. Was it the previous one? Oh shoot. Which one was it? What? Let's see. Was it this one? Give me a second here. Yeah, I can't seem to find it. Let me see if Catbox is up. You might have to reverse image search this one to find it. At least one without my stupid edits on there. Let's see what I missed. Which video did you have the most fun making besides Javlet's Mind? Easily the under 17 retrospective. That one was a shit ton of work, let me tell you. Like at some point when I was making YouTube videos, I was like, yeah, I want to make a video that's over an hour long. And it just, that script sort of spiraled out of control. And I just sort of rolled with it. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be a long ass video and I'm going to edit it all. And at the time I didn't have a job and I wasn't in school anymore because I just recently graduated. So I think for the span of like 2 or 3 weeks, no, more like 2 weeks, I worked on the video for like 5 hours a day. And it was pretty intensive editing. But it was really fun just gathering footage and researching because it was about Under 17, one of my, if not my favorite band of all time. And specifically about otaku culture, Akiba-ke, Denpa music, Moe, all that good stuff. I had fun making that one. I also had a lot of fun making an ode to the otaku room, which was, I guess, a script and a video I had been intending to make as long as I've been sort of writing anime blogs. It's Golden Boy. There's Excel Saga as well. Completed those. Oh, I almost finished all these. Let's get that. Let's get back to the gore shit. Yeah, this is like mostly mainstream shit on this one. There's Hyako, I've seen that one. Oh shoot. Oh. Yeah, oh sorry. Edisa. Erayasu. Oh, it's kind of like a, I get it. I think I get what that name is trying to imply. Holy crap, look at the JPEG compression on this up here. I could barely even read some of this stuff anymore. This one's mostly completed. One of these days I'm going to see. You know what? I think for my 2000s... Oh shit, I can't speak. You know what? My number 2000, the anime I'll watch is Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I just kind of had it on the back burner since like I got into anime. And I'll get around to it eventually. I guess I did edit some of these already. I sort of assumed that I had like left these untouched since the last video, but I've done a couple because like Golden Boy I watched after that. It's marked there. There's Deno Coil. Deno Coil was pretty neat. Can't say I was a huge fan of it though. The place promised in our early days. I could have sworn I've seen this before. This was back when I was streaming anime. And like a lot of these, I don't think this is Shinkai. Is this Shinkai? I don't know. But it's the same studio that does his, or did his movies. And I vaguely remember watching a movie like this, but I don't remember if I was mixing it up with something else. And I know I didn't finish it. So it's just been kind of there in limbo, and I have no desire to watch it. That's about it for this one. I think we're about halfway done with the general folder. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was Shinkai. Otherwise, it's definitely his studio. Let's find out. I'm also desperately hoping that the internet holds up in my house right now. Then I'm also streaming using a VPN, which I haven't tried before yet. Yeah, this is Shinkai. It must have been one of his earlier ones. 2004. Yeah, Hoshino Koi was 2002. Okay, so it was like his second actual movie. Right, yeah, it was. Cool to know. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Like I said, everything's going to be saved and it's going to stay up there on YouTube. I think this is a chart where I haven't really messed around with too much. This is a lot of the gaps in my knowledge, I guess. I don't spend a lot of time watching OVAs, to be completely honest. Yeah, Lurker, I pretty much agree exactly with what you said. And I started to feel this more, especially after watching Tenki no Ko, or Weathering with You. Because I watched that one after it came out on Blu-ray. So it was after the hype. And it was after the hype of Kimi no Na wa. And I realized I didn't like Tenki no Ko at all. And then I sort of went back to Kimi no Na wa, and I was like, yeah, you know what? The reason why I like that movie so much, Kimi no Na wa, or like I liked it at all, is because I watched it in a theater. I don't remember if it was IMAX or not, but I watched it in theaters, so whenever I watch something in a theater, it's pretty neat. But my only real basis for understanding Shinkai was that in 5 centimeters. From what I recall, Hoshino Koe was pretty decent. At least interesting because it was one that he worked on almost entirely himself, but otherwise definitely overrated. Where was I? Yeah, I did watch Kite and Kite Liberator. Kite Liberator is sick. It's really cool. Rain, the little... I'm gonna watch that. Yeah, I probably will stream, or at least make an attempt to do it a little bit more. I've never been one to enjoy the enjoy streaming that much. I know some people do, but I don't necessarily like to. This one's complete. I don't necessarily like to do live stuff all the time. Lurker asks, "How was your experience in Japan? I hope it was good." It was really fun, but it was also a fever dream. Uh, like like I think back on it and I'm like, shit, dude, was that real or was did like that actually happen, or did I just tap out for a week or something in my room? Um, and it was also weird because like I was just the entire time just like draining my wallet because it was my first time I went on vacation myself. Um, but yeah, it was certainly much more enjoyable than I expected. And this kind of ties into what SafeXP says. I'm a little scared of visiting Japan since the Akihabara I've known is probably long gone. Um, I will attest to the fact that Akihabara is still very much alive. You just have to look in the right places, I guess. I wrote a blog about it. I'm gonna shamelessly post it. But the general gist of the blog is like me coming to terms with Akihabara, I guess. And like when I went there for the longest time in these past couple, like leading up to it, the visiting actually, I was like, Akihabara is gonna be cringe. It's gonna be really commercial. There's gonna be a lot of tourists, and I'm gonna probably have a better time in Nakano Broadway. For those who don't know, Nakano Broadway is like Akihabara 2.0. It's they got a lot of mandarake there, so a lot of dojinshi, and as well as other hobby stuff. Um, but when I actually stepped foot in Akihabara, it was kind of surreal, and I ended up having a good time. And it's not as bad as you might think it is, unless you're actually looking for like what was portrayed in like in Genshiken and stuff. Like the truth of the matter is that what was portrayed in Genshiken and NHK and stuff, it's sort of idealized, and it was that way even in 2003, 2007 when those shows aired. Um, like the authors of those shows went there and they were writing about what Akihabara they might have wanted to exist, or one that existed when they were in their golden years. So it's like what the information that we're getting about Akihabara is like the platonic ideal of what Akihabara should actually be, when it might not actually have been that in 2003. Um, but I'd still say it's worth the trip. And yeah, rip the Sega logo though. They don't have the Sega building anymore, which is a bit of a shame, honestly. And they also don't have Tora no Ano there in Akihabara anymore. That was one dojinshi shop I was specifically looking for. They have a Tora no Ana location in Ikebukuro still, but heck if I was going to step foot in enemy territory there. Um, so I didn't go to Tora no Ana, though I did spend a lot of time and a lot of money at Mandarake. I got a stack of dojinshi, a couple actual dojinshi, a couple from C101, which happened a couple of days before I got there, and then a couple a tankobon. A couple of loli books too that I smuggled back into the States. I was low-key pretty spooked about bringing those back. I can't remember if the circle's name or the artist's name is Gintama, but it's a guy who does Sakurai Momoka stuff from Idolmaster Cinderella. Is it Cinderella Girls or Shiny? No, it's Cinderella Girls. But they put out a new book. I think it's just a collection of previous items and art and stuff. But I picked that one up and I smuggled that one back in. Yeah. I just put the doujinshis in your carry-on and you're good. I ended up going overboard with like wrapping them and stuff in bags and putting them inside shirts and shit, but they didn't really care. I've been kind of glancing at this mecha chart, and I don't. Oh, I was gonna say I don't really see too many, but there's Nadia. Nadia's good. I unironically had a fun time with the island arc in that one. Like a lot of people say the island arc in Nadia sucks, and it kind of does at first, but like once you get into it, it's actually pretty decent. Um, like as a show, it's completely different from the rest of the anime, but like in terms of what actually happens, it's not too bad. There's Fafnir. I don't think you'd be in trouble for that in the U.S. So yeah, I think people they kind of overblow it with like how you can get busted for carrying doujinshi and stuff. Though I can't remember, but in the importing and exporting section, that you have to sign when you're first landing in Japan. It mentions about specifically about uh, child pornography. YouTube's gonna not like that word, aren't they? But like the stuff specifically about cheese pizza. Um, so I didn't want to really take any risks, even if it was, of course, uh, drawings. Hey, fellow Lucky Star enthusiast, how do you feel about short form anime, ones that are a few minutes an episode? Um, I would say there are a few that I think I enjoy, but as a whole, I much prefer uh, anime that are a little bit longer. They have a little bit of more meat on their bones. Ideally, like I spend a lot of time watching 12 to 13 episode anime, like one core anime, and that's about as short as I like to go. One of the reasons why I don't really like movies that much is because I feel that a lot of them miss the point by trying to tell a story instead of trying to focus purely on aesthetic and visuals. So in a sense, there can be some short form anime that are fun, but I ultimately feel like a lot of them might work better as a longer show. Let me see if I have a couple. I'm gonna open up my mal. That there was one I was just thinking of, but I didn't remember the name. Shoot, what was it? I remember who subbed it, but I don't remember the show. Maybe I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't remember it. I prefer short form for H animes 100%. If there's an H show that like the episodes are more than 20 minutes, like there's some that they make episodes like 30 minutes long, then there's no way I'm going to watch all of that. I'll just end up skipping through it. But if there's a new H animes these days, like the ones that are still made, a lot of them tend to be pretty short, like 15 minutes, and that's like the perfect length. I'm gonna see if I can find a short form anime on my completed list. In the meanwhile, I think short form could certainly work, uh, especially for like 4 coma adaptations. Like there's a couple that I felt like would have been better served as a short form instead of like trying to stretch it out into a full episode. Since like with 4 coma, you have to be especially liberal in the adaptation. Otherwise, like each episode is segmented into like little jokes and stuff, and then it feels weird. Hold on, let me blast the volume. It's Twin Tail Tsundere. I have no idea where any of these shorts are. I'm gonna give up on looking for that. Here I go. Oh. That's about it for this one. A decent amount of mecha. Essential meme shows of each season since 2010. Let's see what my knowledge looks like. All right, that was it. Kind of unceremoniously, just checking one off. Let's save that. Oh boy, look, we got a big one. What's this one? The mandatory newbie starter pack. This is honestly a really good starter pack because there's a good variety of stuff on here. I wouldn't necessarily say it's for newbies though. Recommend anyone who likes rom-coms with a little bit of ecchi to watch Umi Show. Shout out to Hebe. You know who you are. Recommended me that one. Let's scoot that over a little bit. No, I actually did watch Sketchbook. That's the first time I've seen it on here. It was pretty chill. Not for kids. What's the worst and best anime you've watched somewhat recently, around the last 4 months, you'd say? Let's see. I'm going to have to refer to my list just to double check. But I guess in the meanwhile, while I'm looking for that, I'm going to tell a little story. Or not a story, but about Bocchi the Rock. So a lot of people know Bocchi the Rock. And I ended up watching the show on my trip to Japan, like on the plane, and the days, like there was the day leading up to it, and then on the trip over, and like the entire time watching the show was completely surreal, because I left on Wednesday to Japan, so I had work the day before, and then I went to sleep, and I couldn't get to sleep. And I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning so I could head to the airport because my flight left at 6 o'clock and I had to get there early. So I was sleep deprived. I had been up for an entire day, only slept maybe 3 hours of very disrupted sleep, and then hopped on a plane to Japan. And I have an incredible difficult time sleeping on planes, in cars, or anything that isn't my bed in complete darkness. I probably can't sleep. So I was just watching Bocchi the Rock, sleep deprived. I had been up for 30 hours or something. I was over the Pacific Ocean just watching the show. And I just kept watching episode after episode of it. It was pretty sick. But let me return back to that question that was asked by Lurker. The worst show I've seen, let's start there, in recent months. I'm not going to go back too far. Oh, that's an easy one, actually, now that I referred to my chart. The worst anime I've seen in the past couple months was Nogizaka no Himitsu, specifically the sequels, Pureza and Finale. And people who read my blog know why I hate it. There was a post I made recently, I think it was in December, about it, but it essentially boils down to how I couldn't stand the show because of how how much it clashed with my morals and stuff, and it was so vanilla it hurt. Like it was trying to be it. I don't know, man. It just sucked. It just sucked. I couldn't stand anything to do with it. The characters were bad. The main character, Nogizaka Haruka, was like the most vanilla girl you could possibly think. And it's basically everything that I stand for. Just completely thrown out the door. So I was like, no, I can't do this shit, dude. But I ended up watching all of it. The first season was pretty decent, and I thought I would like the show on paper, which is what I told myself when I watched the first season many years ago. And because I was going through a bit of a completionist phase, I wanted to return to the show to see if I still hated it as much as I did. And I was looking through a couple screenshots of the first season, and I was like, I don't remember hating this show. It looks pretty fun, actually. And then I went back to it, and I didn't like it. And in the final season, like a little OVA called Finale, like just the way it ends felt like there had to be a punchline, but it just played it completely straight. Like if you like really pure-hearted romances and you aren't as cynical, then I think you could find something to enjoy in the show. But it wasn't something that I was particularly fond of. Now, for the best show that I've seen recently, let's see here. I feel like there has to be like an 8 out of 10 around here somewhere. I will say that the final Evangelion movie, I ended up watching that one in theaters recently, after many years. The final Evangelion movie was actually kind of amazing. I enjoyed that a lot. That would be cheating right here. Digimon Tamers was really good. I guess like Bonnen no Zammed was really good. It was the only other like 8 out of 10 I have on my list that I'm referring to here. A couple of disappointments were the recent season of Made in Abyss. I couldn't stand it. And the Yudu Camp movie. The Yudu Camp movie I thought I was going to like, but it kind of almost made me dislike everything. Like, it almost made me retroactively dislike Yudu Camp. What else is here? I guess Love Live Superstar too. That one kind of blew my mind when I was watching it, because Love Live, in my opinion, Love Live hasn't been good since the first season. I was never a fan of Sunshine. None of the characters, no, the music was fine, but I didn't like the anime. Love Live Nijigasaki was all right. The music videos and like the performances within Nijigasaki, as well as the music, are on a completely different level. They're fucking phenomenal. But Superstar had what I've been looking for in Lucky Star for not Lucky Star, in Love Live for a long time, which is kind of like what Idolmaster 2011 did, the anime, where it leaned more into the developing the characters as actual people, not just idols, and it did so in a pretty good way. Especially something that hasn't been done in a Love Live anime in a long time, and I had a good time with that show. Yeah, Love Live Superstar is fantastic. It's good stuff. There was a lot of Superstar stuff in Akihabara, as one can expect. Japan loves Love Live like nothing else. Let's see where I was with my charts. These are the 20th century shows. I don't remember watching too many recently. I was gonna watch Versailles no Obata for my 1200th anime, which in retrospect I should have done. Uh, but I'll get around to it. That one eventually. Lurker says, very true. The hate Ava 3.0 plus 1.0 gets is strange. IMO. I need to rewatch it though. Yeah. I went to, that was another movie I went to go see in theaters, and I have the Asuka Q hat, like the little black cat ear hat I bought on eBay a long time ago. And I was gonna wear it to the movies, but I was like, you know what? What if 3.0 plus 1.0 is cringe, and then I end up like looking like a dumbass with the hat on, so I didn't wear the hat. But throughout the movie, I was just like, it's just Ano going ham with visuals, and Ano is one of his strengths has been visual direction in anime for a long time, shot composition as well. But like it just went on a completely different level. Like if anything else, it was a visual feast. And yes, the CGI is still as bad as some of the other movies in the rebuild series, but uh, very much very much a cool experience at least, which is what I think movies should be. Like in my opinion, movies that try to tell a story and they aren't in a series are already setting themselves up for failure. You have to be trying to something else, something a little bit more significant. And I personally think like if you focus on aesthetics and visual flair, it's gonna go a long way because it will make the movie like be worthwhile to be a movie. Because if you're trying to tell a story, then there's no reason why it couldn't be a television show. Let's see what else I got here. Another Excel saga. Candy. Alright, that's about it for this one. As I thought. There wasn't too much to see on this one. It's more of the same. This one's a weird little collection of shows. The visuals in Ano's work is crazy. Even his live action movies like Shikijitsu or Love and Pop. Yeah, for sure. I've seen both of those live action movies that you just mentioned. I'm more of a fan of Love and Pop. It's kind of just him having fun with camera angles and telling a pretty poignant story at the same time. And it's one of those things that I think about a lot. And it's definitely, yeah, like you said, it's one of his strong points. People who haven't seen his live action work definitely should. Love and Pop is fantastic. Shikijitsu is also good. I believe the lead actor is Shunji Iwai, who's a director that most people know him for All About Lily Chocho. I also like Iwai's Love Letter, which is what the last blog I wrote was actually named after. There's some deep lore for you. Love Letter is just, it's kind of just like a melodramatic drama. Melodramatic drama, fuck. It's just like a melodrama with a little bit of romance, but it's exceptionally comfy. And it's not something I say a lot about live action movies. What else I got here? Alright, nothing there. I'm going to save. I can't remember if I checked anything off on there, but I'm going to save it anyways. I need to return to the Crest of the Stars series at some point. I didn't really like the first season, but crap, what's her face? The main seiyuu for that show. Let me just pull up her name. Kawasumi Ayako. I'm a big fan of her. I started to get more into her work the longer I spent with like early 2000s stuff. I couldn't really stand her voice in that show. And just like the type of extremely proper honorific Japanese that she employs, and it sounds really stilted, but it fits the character regardless. But at some point, I want to return to that series just to see it through, because it's kind of unusual to see a shorter form space opera, I guess. Two other shows I need to get around to eventually: Super Gals and Shadowstar Naruto. Oh, actually, I've seen Agent Aika. Aika is pretty insane. Like, if you like Pantsu, you'll like Aika. One of these days, I'm going to have all these charts completely crossed out. And then I'll have nothing left to stream. I have to make my own charts. I've wanted to make my own chart at some point. But I want to make it like a specific theme. I just can't really think of one. But one day I'll make a chart. Let's pull up my other ones. I guess I'll do the genres. Some of these have been completed though. Oh yeah, Mahoraba. I wasn't really a fan of Mahoraba, to be completely honest. I really liked the style and like just the general like tone of the show, but in terms of the actual like characters and narrative, I wasn't too into. But I spent a lot of time watching 2000 shows, especially stuff that like is not necessarily good. Just because I find it interesting. Case in point, Gift Eternal Rainbow, the video I did. Opinions on Monogatari. Favorite character and arc. I enjoy Monogatari. It's a weird show for me because I originally watched... I've seen the show... I restarted the series like 3 times before actually going through it. Like back in the day, I watched Bake, Nisei, and Neko, and then the Kizu movies. I watched the first Kizu movie in theaters. But then after that, I kind of fell off it. And then again, like a year later, I tried to get back into it. And I think I made it up until 2nd season, but never went past that. And it wasn't until the 3rd time that I rewatched everything again that I really got around to warming up to the show, and I enjoyed it much more. My favorite character in Monogatari is Hajikuchi Mayoe. And not just because she's a loli. I really enjoy her character development. And the way that her and Araragi sort of play off each other. I find it to be a little bit more playful than some of the other interactions. I just have a lot of fun watching. Whenever Hajikuchi is on screen, I have a fun time. Just watching the bickering that goes back and forth. I don't know if I have a specific favorite arc, though. Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite arc. Not Kizu. I kind of like... Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't really have a favorite arc, though. If I did, I couldn't remember it off the top of my head right now. I enjoy Bakemonogatari as it stands, as like a standalone series, I guess, too. That at this point I've seen the show like 3 or 4 times. And it just like holds up so well, despite being a 2009 show. Like both visually and narrative-wise. I got like a mosquito on my screen right now. Speaking of Nisio Isin Katanagatari, Ah, shit. Stupid mosquito. Katanagatari was not really that good. I didn't like it. Uh, the Probably my favorite show on this list right now is Kino's Journey, or Kino no Tabi. Highly recommended. Fantastic show. A base Hachikuchi fan. My personal favorite interactions are Araragi and Shinobu. Hachikuchi and Araragi is a close second, though. Yeah, I like Shinobu a lot. When I was in Japan, I had to go to Mr. Donut. The donuts are not actually like amazing. They're still pretty decent though. I'd say they're better than like a Dunkin' Donuts or whatever like the chain restaurant in your country is. But I guess that's par for the course for anything in terms of Japanese pastries, since their stuff tends to be a little bit more subdued in flavor, as opposed to what you might find in like United States. Nothing here. Yeah, I've never watched Katanagatari. All I know about it is that the episodes are long, I think. Yeah, they are. Each episode's like 50 minutes. I can't say I was a fan of it. Um, the main character, he kind of does like a Vash to Stampede kind of thing, where he acts like a goofball, but he's actually overpowered. If I'm remembering correctly. And I'm not a fan of that archetype, and I didn't like Trigun either. Oh, shit. Alright, I think I got the mosquito now. Yeah, I didn't like Trigun. I didn't really like Katanagatari. It had some pretty decent visuals, but you can tell that Nisio Isin wrote this series fast, because if I remember correctly, he wrote either one arc or one volume of the light novel per month for a year. That was kind of the point. Hence why there are 12 volumes or 12 episodes in the show. So it doesn't flow as well as something like Monogatari, for example. Alright. The fact that I haven't seen Ore Twintel ni Narimasu at this point is cause for an intervention. I need to watch this show ASAP. But there's nothing else on there. It was a volume a month, but they were shorter volumes. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Because it would kind of be... not really feasible to write that much. But Nisio Isin does write a lot. And especially like his Monogatari series are much more tighter written and tend to be a little bit longer than typical light novels. Like most light novels you could blast through, but his are a little bit more like novels. Let's see if I could get any page counts around here. He writes most of his books fast, doesn't he? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. He's just incredibly prolific is kind of what he's about. Claymore, Berserk. Gotta get back into the Berserk manga personally. I kind of put that one down for a little bit. Gotta pick it back up. Witchcraft Princess. Over time, I've grown to like Escaflowne more. It's such a unique show, Escaflowne, and it's visually impressive. In terms of like fantasy anime, it's probably one of the better ones. I liked it more than Ray Earth. Or Ray Earth season 1 was pretty good, but not so much season 2. But Escaflowne, fantasy mecha shoujo, it's pretty neat. Hey, it's the one and only Black Star 999. haven't really seen any of these video game adaptations. Probably for good reason. Neither any of these OVAs. I think there was one on here I was going to watch recently, but I completely forgot about it. Millennium Dragon or Millennium Actress? Which one? Hack Sign OST goes so hard. Ooh, got that Nightcore mix going. Alright, where's my other songs? Yeah. There we go. The completely off topic, but the original Nightcore, you know, like Nightcore, like it's they're actually brilliant. Like, it's taken me a long time to get around to listening to their work. And being someone who has liked Nightcore for a long time as it was, it's kind of surreal to listen to the original and to realize how good they were to begin with. Well, I've actually seen Neppu Kairiku Bushi Road. That was garbage. Oh shoot, look. It's everybody's favorite chart from the YouTuber that no longer exists anymore. Let's see where I stack up. I truthfully haven't seen a lot of cute girls doing cute things recently. But most of the chart I've seen. Though I do gotta see Taisho Yakyu Musume. I own this on Blu-ray. It's somewhere on my shelf. Oh, Nanoha. Speaking of Nanoha, when I was in Japan, I picked up a special edition of the first movie, which are like recaps. But it's a Blu-ray special edition, and I think I got it for like 500 yen. And with the current conversion rate, that's like nothing. I really wanted to get Nanoha A's, since that's my favorite season. But I didn't see it complete. And the movie that they had, special edition, was still sealed, and it was like 6K yen or something. I do like me some cute girls suffering. I have, how do you pronounce this? Wicross? Wicross? Selector and Affected Wicross. I have this show on Blu-ray sitting on my shelf, but I never see anyone mention this show. I think I've seen a GIF or two of it before. Oh, Breathe Without You. But Wicross, like, I don't see any stuff about this anymore. I have a VHS copy of You're Under Arrest, the OVA. I found it at a used bookstore, and I had to pick it up. Though I don't have a VCR right now. So it just kind of sits there. Alright. Hokago no Pleiades is really, really neat. For those who are not familiar with this show, it was a collaboration project between Gainax and Subaru. Yes, that Subaru, the car manufacturer. The main character in the show is literally named Subaru. And it's like this magical girls show that like the girls ride, like I don't know what it, like, I'm not sure if it's like it's referred to a drivetrain or something. Let me check. I don't know. They're basically riding the frame of a car, and like there's exhaust sounds and shit, and it's like the most loose interpretation of what Subaru is as a brand. To me, it kind of seemed like uh, Subaru approached Gainax saying, "Hey, can you make an anime for us?" And then Gainax is like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want to have in the show?" And then they give him like a list of 4 things that need to be in there. And then Gainax decides to make a Maho Shoujo show about it. Like the most loose interpretation possible. It's pretty sick. JV says, I like Wakos. It was slightly above average in terms of story. Oh, message redacted. I'll finish that thought later. But yeah, Pleiades is, it was pretty neat. It has some nice visuals. It wasn't necessarily a good show, but it was just funny to see. Which one of these was it? Yeah, Plastic Nissan. Someone asked earlier about short form anime, and Plastic Nissan is a pretty good example of that. It was Lucky Star Enthusiast. And Plastic Nissan works perfectly as a short form anime because it's just how wacky it is. That each episode can kind of be like one joke or a couple jokes, just rapid fire. It wouldn't have worked in the longer form. And that's what I initially thought about something like Pani Pony Dash. That I initially watched it and dropped it, but like I returned to it because I was in a good mood and I wanted to give it another shot, and I went into it with an open mind. And Pani Pony Dash works, sort of like in the same way that Plastic Nissan does, just for being so absurd. Lucky Star Enthusiast says, have you had the Nissin cup noodle seafood flavor? And let me just refresh my mind. But I believe Nissin cup noodles are the ones that Konata has, correct? Yeah. These bad boys. I have had the seafood one, but I'm not a fan of seafood. I like the curry flavor. I actually have a couple of the curry flavors in my cupboard drawers, whatever. I have them in my house right now. I have these. These are really good. And of course, I had them because of Konata from Lucky Star. This bad boy. But in generally speaking, I'm not a huge seafood fan. Semi-dead account says, I watched all of TQ, like all 9 seasons. That's pretty impressive. I intend to watch it at some point. I think I had torrented it, and I was mixing TQ up with Plastic Nissan or something else, something like that. Cute girls do each other. My favorite subgenre of cute girls. I watched Sakura Trick. I need to watch Strawberry Panic eventually. Let's see what else I got on here. I think that's about it. Oh, Yurikuma Adachi. This show was fucking incredible. I'm not a fan of, what's his face? The Utena man. I'm terrible with names, by the way. Kunihiku Ikuhara. I'm not a huge fan of Ikuhara, and I've seen Utena, I've seen Penguin Drum, but Yurikuma Arashi was the first show from him that I've seen that really clicked with me, and I enjoyed it a lot. And the opening for the show is fantastic. Yeah, maybe I should watch TQ to just like blast through some. If you're saying it's only like 20 minutes. I remember there was the show Psyche K, I think is similar, where each episode's pretty short. That's the good thing about those short form shows, is that you can kind of blast through them. Alright. At this point, I've seen almost all of Ghost in the Shell. I've seen both seasons of the show. Well, everything that matters. 1995, Innocence, Standalone Complex, first and second gigs. I've also seen Noir, Yuki Kajiura OST. This is probably one of the only redeeming factors of the show. Other than it looked fantastic. Jin Oro. I found both cup noodles to be tasty, but I like the curry more. Yeah, as a Lucky Star enthusiast, uh, I expected nothing else. They're certainly good flavors in terms of like instant noodles. They're some of the better ones. At least the cup instant noodles. Sometimes you can get packages that are a little bit better, but they're pretty solid. I just enjoy curry more than seafood. And when I was in Japan, I also had some curry over there, and it was great. But I ended up overeating so much that I almost felt sick, because they gave me this giant serving, and I just ate it all because I didn't want to not finish it. I do enjoy me my absurd comedies. Semi-dead account son. What the heck is this? Oh, okay, approved. I was wondering why there was a Psychono OVA on here randomly. This is K shit. I'm not huge into that, but you can mark that. Alright, we got some lesbian stuff. The good stuff here. Yurikuma. I've also seen Sailor Moon. Eventually I'll see more Sailor Moon. I just wasn't too hot on the first season. Sakuda Trick. I need to watch a Manchu as well. There's Noir. What's the longest show you finished? Probably Hunter x Hunter, but I think everybody's finished that show, 148 episodes. The second longest would be Monster 2004. And between the two, I enjoyed Monster substantially more. Just because it flowed better as a narrative, and I'm not a huge shonen guy. So I didn't really enjoy Hunter x Hunter as much, even back when I was more receptive to shonen. I've had the DVD for Standalone Complex for nearly 8 years, and I just never got to it. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, if you enjoy Ghost in the Shell 1995, the movie, you might not really enjoy Standalone Complex, because that's how I felt initially. Because the 1995 movie is more like, it's a bit more philosophical, and it's a bit more about characters just like standing, talking, psychoanalyzing each other and shit. And I enjoyed that a little bit more than Standalone Complex, since it was a bit more about like cop drama and like crimes and shit. And I don't really like crime television, generally speaking. It was more like, it was more in line with something like Psychopaths. But Standalone Complex second gig is pretty solid. I enjoyed it much more. Pars, what's your opinion on anime core people? I'm assuming you're talking about like people who listen, like who sort of, or for lack of better terms, like Zoomers who like reappropriate Nightcore and shit and use like blingy graphics, is what I'm assuming. Personally, I don't really have strong feelings about that, but generally speaking, whenever I see those people, I assume that they never listened to Nightcore back in the day, and they haven't seen enough shows to warrant like having an opinion on a lot of stuff. And sometimes you see these people like, oh man, anime back in the day used to be better and shit, but they don't really have a perspective to say that. There's some things I like within the aesthetic, but I don't like how this is similar to like my opinions on Denpa these days. Like, a lot of people who are kind of getting into it, they're missing the point, I guess, and they're more there for the aesthetic and stuff, and I feel like they're almost corrupting the original idea. Oh yeah, not only that, but they also like moe anime from the 2000s, but not know the source. Yeah, that's kind of what gets on my nerves. Um, I definitely am into gatekeeping anime, and like that's always going to be a problem. It was similar to like I remember Hayden Loves Anime made a video about that, about not specifically about anime core, but about people who post stuff about 90s anime and 80s anime, like the aesthetic people, and there will always be those people. And that's also a problem with like how I see like people who are like, oh, I don't really like anime, but I like Evangelion and Bebop and shit. Like it's kind of the same people. I don't take that seriously, and I'm not really around those conversations on a day to day basis to have a strong opinion about it. But I generally assume that those people haven't seen that much shit. Yeah, Denpa is still cool. I like him. I'm more into Moe Denpa, but uh, it the more mainstream it gets, I think the further, or not mainstream, but like the more people who get telephoned the definition of what Denpa is, the further it strays from the definition it should be or maybe originally was. Now it's just a bunch of like Subahibi interpretations. Yeah, I just ignore those people. I stopped interacting with the general anime community like many years ago when I was still in high school. Because I used to frequent like Reddit and stuff, and like at a certain point I just couldn't stand it, so I just stopped interacting with those people and just enjoyed anime on my own terms. I eventually find out about trends and stuff because you eventually see more, even just being on Danburu and stuff. You see the art, so you kind of know what's popular. Uh, Kind of like how I found out about Bochi, and now that I have a YouTube and some people know me on Discord and shit, they'll send me stuff. Um, but it's better to be out of the conversation. I think, at least for me, I enjoy to just kind of like keep things uh, untainted by public opinion. Same. I love Moe Denpa as well. Yeah, Viva Moe Denpa. Ray Earth. Pre-tier. Did I watch pre-tier? I think I watched pre-tier. Yeah, I think I did watch pre-tier. Yeah, I did. Because there's pre-tier and then there's another show that's somewhat similar to it that I also own. I sometimes mix stuff up. Too many Denpa girls with Zakuro or Kimika from Subahibi PFPs. Yeah, it's honestly like the next lane. It's kind of like pretty much what I said about Lane in my one video about uh, my coming out video, quote unquote, uh, can be applied to how I feel about Subahibi. I guarantee you most of those people haven't seen Subahibi, and even if they did, they don't really have uh, the perspective to understand it as a Denpa work and understand that Subahibi isn't. How do I want to say this? Like Denpa isn't Subahibi. Subahibi is Denpa. Totono. Which one's this? Oh, it's that other Denpa visual novel. Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of e-girls, honestly. They're trying to be unique with the media that they consume. So they go to the extremes, and Tsubikibi has been always somewhat mainstream and somewhat contentious within the visual novel community. Not only for being rated so high, but for some of the scenes that are in it. Kind of edgy. People always say it's super heebie pretentious. That's about it for this one. This was my Cute Girls Doing Magical Things. I think this is also another one by the artist known as Digibro. Yeah. Gore Trance 1 goes so hard. Alright, that's it for this one. Not too much to see there. I've also seen Macross Frontier. Macross Delta is the only good Macross season. Please at me. Ooh. Am I almost done with this one? There's Hyako. I still need to see Kokoro Toshokan, Galaxy Angel. One of the things that's kind of bittersweet about watching so much anime is that you've seen so much that like you have to end up rewatching shit if you want to watch a good rom-com, because sometimes you honestly will run out of stuff to watch. There will still be good stuff, but it won't necessarily be the same quality per se, or at least the amount of stuff starts to fizzle out, and you have to search longer to find good stuff. Which is why I'm glad that I saved some popular shows for later on. There's Love Lab. High Score Girl. If you haven't seen High Score Girl, stop the stream right now and go watch it. Especially so if you like retro video games, specifically like 90s stuff, arcades, Capcom fighters, that kind of stuff. It's so good. I've always wanted to be like you in terms of what type of anime you watch and the amount. It's certainly possible, I would say. I mean, I'm not sure about specific lifestyle choices and stuff and what you do if you're still in school or working or whatever. But for reference, I work a full-time job Monday through Friday. I still live at home, but I still watch about 4 episodes of anime per day, and on the weekends I'll watch more. Sometimes go upwards towards 10, 12 on the weekends. I just watch a lot because I'm really into anime. Just, I don't know, it's kind of like an autistic obsession, I guess. I once had over 200 anime on my watch list, but didn't get to watch them all. It's certainly dedication, and once you get the ball rolling, I think if you really enjoy anime, in the broad sense of I like anime and I want to learn as much about it as possible and see everything out there, then I think it starts to become pretty easy once you get into the habit of watching a lot of stuff and start to learn to binge watch and start to learn to follow up with sequels and specials and stuff. One word of advice I will say about watching a lot of stuff is to, I guess, not compartmentalize, but to stagger the shows that you watch. So I find it easy to blast through a couple of 12-episode one-core shows, but I don't like to watch the same genre back to back because then I might get tired of it. And even if I do, I try to minimalize it. So I won't watch 5 slice of life shows in a row. I'll try to divide things up to keep things fresh. So then when I'm almost done with, I don't know, the mecha show that I'm watching right now, I'm craving the next rom-com or I'm craving the next comedy. Let's see. I've watched only about 100 anime, give or take, and I'm starting to run out of stuff that's interesting, though. It's definitely something to do a deep dive on, if you're interested. That there's a lot of good stuff out there. I think it's just a problem of I mean, this is kind of spoilers for the next blog that I'm writing, but the idea of recommendations being a problem, that I think recommendations sort of like railroad people into only watching certain shows, even though they might like to watch a little bit more. So like what you find on recommendation charts like this are good and they're a good starting point, but there might be better shows out there that aren't on here that might appeal to you specifically. Um, for example, Paradise Kiss I wasn't a fan of, but someone else might really like it. So it's just a matter of exploring, I guess, if you're interested in that. Can't relate to that. There's always stuff to watch for me. Pretty much the same XP. I would just watch everything. I don't think there's anything in particular that I will like go out of my way to avoid. I watch even shoujo stuff, and I tend to dislike shoujo a little bit more since I can't stand the like the chibi comedy a lot of them do. But there's some shoujo that I really like Lovely Complex. Semi-dead account san says, I also want to watch a lot so I could smash into the minds into those anime core people knowledge on anime, especially the lesser known info. Yeah, for sure. uh I spent a lot of time, or I spent a lot of time watching like these random ass uh like galgay anime adaptations from the 2000s and shit. uh and like if that's what you're into, then there's a decent amount of it. um I'm not sure if I have a link somewhere of all of them, but if you go on AnyDB, there's a tag for those specifically. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Where? No, I need to show. Yeah, here we go. So like you could search by tag on AnyDB. It's a really powerful tool if you want to do stuff to get granular about what type of anime you're searching for. Yeah, this season alone I'm watching 20 anime or so, and some other off season. But yeah, it's always a hit or miss on the enjoyability meter. As they say, it is what it is. Yeah, for sure. I'm not keeping up with anything this season, though there are a few that I do want to watch after the fact. Uh, I'm not sure if the Nier Automata anime is any good, but I'm gonna watch that anyways. There's probably a few other. It just depends on the season if I watch anything or if I decide to keep up with something. Sometimes I'll just like taste test a few, and if I don't like them, then I'll just wait until the end of the season once the dust settles. I used to dive into the depths of my anime list to find obscure moe stuff from the 2000s. Yep, for sure, that is the way. Just follow the tags. I think that's about it for this one. I get really obsessive with AnyDB. I use my Mal as my main like place where I database everything, but AnyDB is a little bit more powerful, and their tools are much more robust in terms of searching for tags and stuff. Oni-chan wa Oshimai is a super based seasonal. Oh, I gotta watch that. I think I downloaded the first season, or not the first season, but the first episode, out of curiosity, since it was like, if anything says uncensored, I'm gonna raise an eyebrow and I'm gonna download it. Near delayed. I'm not surprised. Yeah, let me hop on over to Nya. I have this giant filter of like all this stuff right here. This is crap that I don't want. Who was subbing it? There was quicker. Where are the good subs at though? gonna have to find. This one's uncensored, but look at all those fucking subs. This is the one I downloaded from Anonymous. I'll have to find one of these. I'll leave that open. For later, of course. Yeah, AnyDB is like, it's probably the best website on the internet, unironically. That and VNDB. They're so, like, kind of low-key about it, but they're so well constructed and their databases are so robust that it's kind of insane. TBH, IDKY, they even bothered making an uncensored version. The show is pretty tame and there's no actual nudity. Could be another case of, like with what happened with my Eternal Sunshine of the Javeless Mind kind of deal. And I'm not sure what the rules are about airing on television, but always, at least for me, I go for the uncensored alt. I don't expect much fan service. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think I saw a broadcast versus uncensored Onimai comparison, and they removed some scenes with the shoddy, with the big boobs. Other than that, I have no idea. Was it a Opie Loli or something? Probably. Oh shoot. Dental Coil. Space Battleship Yamato, $21.99. And one day I'll watch Space Dandy. One day. I'm not gonna do that. Well, speaking of uncensored anime, I gotta watch the second season of Peter Grill. I don't know if that one got as popular as what was that one? Crap, what was it called? It was a Isekai Reviewer show. But Peter Grill was pretty sick. No, the situation with Onimai is weird since the TV broadcast of Onimai in Japan is also uncensored. Only the streaming version is censored. Interesting. Oh, regardless, I'll be watching the uncensored version. If there's an option, I will always pick the uncensored. There we go. Oh, I'm almost done with this one. I'll probably never watch Rurouni Kenshin, to be completely honest. I've only seen Trust and Betrayal, and I consider my journey done there. It's possible Onimai aired on ATX or something, because ATX is, as far as I'm aware, the one that allows a little bit more risque stuff. Hyako. Oh, there's a decent amount of these I haven't seen yet. Some Days Dreamers. Some Days Dreamers was pretty comfy. And did I watch Sora no Mani Mani? I think I did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. Oh, wait, no. That was a lie. There was another show that was similar to that I thought I was confusing it with. Can I change my streaming bitrate on the fly? No, I don't want to fuck anything up. IDKY, Japan's companies always give streaming services the censored version. It probably, I don't know. It's something to do with air. I enjoyed season 1 better for Peter Grill. Season 2 just felt flat. and more of the same. You won't be missing much other than the new gals in the harem. I mean, just honestly what I was watching it for to begin with, and what was her name? Taketatsu Ayana. I don't want to butcher her name. The Seiyu. Yeah, Taketatsu Ayana. She's like an old lady now, and it's kind of weird. Kind of weird. You know what? Screw it. Let's change. I'm gonna lower the bitrate on this shit. Because my internet is crying. I'm not sure if it's reflecting on the stream. Rurouni Kenshin manga is super based, but I've read some bad stuff about the Annie. Yeah, there's also the shit about the author, but I enjoyed Trust and Betrayal for what it was worth. It took me a year to finish though. I'm starting to not like reading manga that much. Yeah, and yeah, Javi, same here. Used to read a lot more. Like, I think my patience is weird, or at the very least, I find anime a bit more engaging to watch. Uh, just because it has more bright colors and characters talking to music and stuff. So on a superficial level, it's a bit more engaging. So I just find it more interesting. That doesn't mean I don't like manga. I still read stuff. It's just much more infrequently. Like back in the day, I remember reading Prison School, for those who remember that one. Uh, uh, I read all of that manga in like 2 weeks, and it was over 200 chapters or about. But I haven't read that much manga recently. Used to blast volumes daily, and now I can't even read one sometimes. When I read manga, I usually read one volume per sitting. Otherwise, oh, the based music just ended. Let's get some more gore shit on. Yeah, I usually read one volume per sitting. Oh, I finished this one already as well. Need the big cursor. More of the same, I guess. I finally watched Candy Boy. That was a show I found a long time ago. I finally got around to watching that one OVA. There's some Yuri Noir as well. Not a ton Yuri, but no manga. I'm gonna skip that. Have you seen The Adventures of Shirashi Minoru? Is that's what's his name's Seiyu. I'm assuming it's crap. Is that an anime or is it like a little live action segment thing? I'm not familiar. I know him as a Seiyu, but otherwise not really. I enjoyed the little ending skits and stuff in Lucky Star, if that's what you're referring to. Wow 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 Sudamono. Oh, it's behind the scenes stuff. It might be what I was thinking about as well. If it's on YouTube, I'll save it for myself. Oh, I see. I found it. Never mind. I'm assuming it's this. I'm gonna post it here just in case anyone else finds it later. But yeah, I'll definitely watch that. I enjoyed his live action segments in Lucky Star as well, so I'm assuming I'll like that. Oh. As the stream goes on, my ability to draw a straight line with a mouse goes down significantly. See, man, this is why I love Mecha. Look at all this good stuff. Ah, yeah, hardcore business. Cross Ange. I wish Cross Ange was more ridiculous. It wasn't as ridiculous as I thought it was going to be. But if you do watch Cross Ange, make sure to download the Kami Subs version of it, where they put like a hand drawn penis on the main character in the opening. It's awesome. Also, is this stream still alive? I can't tell because my video keeps buffering. That's about it. I gotta watch Strike Witches one of these days to get some Mecha Musume goodness. Yeah, you're fine. Okay, cool. It's just my internet is shit as it is. In my old house, we used to have fiber, and now we have like the equivalent of a turtle with two broken legs. And then also sometimes the internet shits itself when I use my VPN. Strike Witchers is epic. Yep, for sure. Has anyone ever heard of Reen Daughters of Nemosine? I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but yes, I've heard of that show. I was intending to watch it a long time ago when I used to be part of this one like group that did like kind of like a book club except for anime, but I skipped that one. I will watch it eventually because it seems pretty cool. Oh, can't forget this one. Kinito Mosaic. All right, so when I was in Japan, there was a Kinito Mosaic like pop-up shop, and this was in Shibuya. I forgot which building it was, but in the same building they were also doing a Kingdom Hearts pop-up shop, and that's the reason why I walked in the first place. And then I ended up going upstairs, and there was like a Surugaya, and I got some Idolmaster shit. And on the floor above that, they had this Kinito Mosaic pop-up shop. And I'm not a huge fan of Kinito Mosaic, so I just like poked my head in. But there was a lot of like older anime fans in there, like dudes with graying hair, and it was pretty sick to see them just around, just like, yep, I'm gonna get myself some Kinito Mosaic merch. I don't know what's happening to my video. Screw it. Have you ever heard of Magical Play, aka Maho Yugi? Let me Google search it. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Oh. Wait a second. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. It definitely looks familiar. Yeah, I should watch this. It's a short form show, it seems. But I'll keep that queued up so I can download it off Nia once the stream ends. Let's see. Oh, this is the last chart. Almost done. It's Kitty Grade. Kitty Grade was goofy as hell, and I did not like it. Steel Angel Kudumi, though. Steel Angel Kudumi was pretty good. At least the first season. Second season, not so much. Yuki Yuno wa Yusha Naru. A prime example of reject modernity, embrace tradition. It's one of those absurd short anime. It also has a weird CGI OVA. The last short show I watched was, what was it called? It was Akiba-chan, I believe. I don't remember if that's the whole name of it. Yeah, it was just Akiba-chan. A similar flavor, I like that kind of stuff. ROD, Read or Die. I've seen the OVA. I'm gonna mark. I'll wait till I finish TV. I've seen Seraphim Call, unfortunately. And it seems like it's the end of my charts. Oh, I actually have one. I adore Akiba-chan, but probably only because it was one of the first shows I watched raw. Yeah, for sure. I think it's just really especially heartfelt. Just because of how cute it is. Like, everything's kind of like stop motion, and it's just like figures. It kind of reminds me of something you might see on YouTube. Of someone just like taking pictures of their figures talking and stuff. It's pretty comfy. That reminds me, this chart right here, Mal stacks are like the best thing Mal has done in many years in a history of bad decisions. They're on par with like YouTube, honestly, in terms of like doing shit that just like breaks the site. However, interest stacks are great. They're basically like these recommendation charts, except on Mal, and anyone can make them, and they're pretty easy to make too. I'm gonna show myself a little bit here, but this is an interest stack that I made. I was gonna do another one, but it's not complete. But I screenshotted this one right here, which is what reminded me of it. But I've seen Hoshizora e Kakeru Hashi. I don't remember anything about that show. Myself Yourself is pretty comfy. Yo, Two Heart 1999. This is like one of the comfiest Galgame adaptation anime. I remember when UFO Table used to do stop motion. Yeah, that was before they did a Manabi Strait, I believe. I've also seen Shuffle, Da Capo, My Beloved. I've also seen... Have I seen Wind? Dude, this is the thing. Okay, I haven't seen Wind, but I've seen Wish. Like these English word, semicolon, English phrase kind of format of Galgame adaptations from the 2000s. Like, I eventually I start to mix them up, like especially Wind and Wish, because they're both W's. Anyways, that's it for this one. Yeah, Myself Yourself, dude. For sure. It was one of the first fan subs I downloaded as well. Like actual fan subs, not any of these horrible subs or like Cole Girls type of thing. It was just like I have it on my computer. Got it right here, original files. Is this showing yeah, I downloaded this back in 2018. Or at least when I copied it over. Because I watched the show in 2017. Doc Capo lore runs deep for sure. The original Doc Capo is so comfy. Let's see if I got anything else here. This is manga. That's about it. And let me grab a couple of these charts. Let's do 05, 06, and 07. Yeah, for sure, dude. Two Heart is so good. It's like absurdly comfy. And it's such a good example of and I think it was the first anime adaptation of a Gauge. At least a television anime, I should specify. Because before that there was like OVA that were made, like Kakusei, I believe. It was the first television show. It kind of, I guess it started to become a little bit more popular after that. Two Heart is such a nostalgic show. Like, nostalgic for an era that you didn't grow up in, or you didn't get to experience, but you still kind of understand. Certainly one of my faves. So I got here. Speed. Eureka right here. I also watched Trinity Blood. Yeah, Feeling Heart for sure. Don't worry, we'll travel back tonight. Yeah, time to go back to the early 2000s. Close your eyes and you wake up and it's 2003 again. Ichigo 100% was one of a show I watched recently, and it had like a comically low budget. Or maybe they just didn't give a damn about the production of that one. Same thing with Air Gear. Like, those, they were shown in Jump adaptations, and I was surprised of how low quality they were. Yo, this is going in. Gore shit never fails. Yeah, I dropped Paradise Kiss, but I'll mark that. Ginban Kaleidoscope is so weird, dude. I sort of prefer the visual novel opening more, though, because of the DJ DJ Sharpnel. Shit. Now I gotta listen to the song. From Zahato. Yeah, now I gotta listen to a bunch of old school otaku speed. No wonder I'm not EQ'd. Alright. Alright, now I'm jamming. Chikoku Shoujo as well. But anyways, I was saying Ginban Kaleidoscope is so weird. It's about a girl who's like an Olympic figure skater, and the soul of, I think, some American like test pilot sort of possesses her, and he's just like inside of her mind. It's so weird. If you've heard of DG Sade, have you watched any of the spin-offs like Panyo Panyo? I have not. The more DG Sade I watch, the less I like it, to be completely honest. I'm not a huge fan of it. I like the original 1999 shorts and a couple of the specials, but I haven't watched too much. And I didn't really like the new season, the Reiwa. Yeah, I watched the new one, and then I ended up finishing it raw because the subs were taking far too long. I can't really speak on the quality though, since I'm not a huge fan of the comedy in DG Sade. I don't think it was that good. Uh, though I will say one of the saddest parts about going to Japan and going to Akihabara was seeing gamers without the Dejiko logo on there. And I didn't know this until recently, but I think it was, when was it, like 2017 or something, when they took off Dejiko from the gamer's iconography. So if you go to Akiba, don't expect to see Dejiko there. And inside gamers, it might as well just be a Love Live shop. So that wasn't a good start to Akiba for me, but I didn't expect there to be, or actually I kind of expected there to be a little bit more Dejiko stuff since Reiwa DG Sade just finished airing. But it was like she was nowhere to be found. She was MIA. Yeah, Reiwa was kind of boring. It was like rehashing a lot of the same stuff. Abu Nainyo, Zega Pain. Such a cool name, such a mediocre series. Inukami I gotta watch eventually. There's a one song from Inukami that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Actually, I haven't seen this one. I've seen Nana. Do they still have the Toro no Ana mascot scene in front of the store in Akiba? They do not. And you know what? I was mentioning this earlier in the stream, but the Toro no Ana location in Akihabara is shut down. They don't have it anymore. They have Toro no Ana in Ikebukuro if you want to go there. Uh, but like I said, I wasn't too keen on going far into enemy territory, so I didn't check that one out. And plus, there might have been a lot of BL junk. Surprised there wasn't much of DG Sade considering the new anime and Dejiko VTuber or whatever. Yeah, I was surprised too. It was like nowhere in gamers. And gamers is what you see when you first get off at the Electric Town Gate. That said, there was like you had to go underground, but and once you get off the beaten path, like the soul of Akihabara is still there. Like you go, like when I went into the Melon Books location, I don't know, I think there was a couple, but I went into the one off the main strip. It was like the little basement location, mostly new books. There was a lot of older otaku there, just picking up doujinshi and like wordlessly looking through all the new stuff. And like in there, it was Genshiken in there. Yeah, the Sega building was replaced as well. But Mandarake was easily the best part. Like I picked up a ton of old Megami magazines, a couple of new types, um, and a lot of doujinshi. Like the majority of the weight in my bags coming back was doujinshi. Uh, I barely made the cutoff. I believe the cutoff is like 50 pounds, and I was within a couple kilos of that, like within the decimals of going over before I had to pay extra. The grand Sega disappearance in Akiba. Yeah, it's a shame, really. Yeah, that and like I expected like that's why I linked the blog I posted earlier. Like I expected, knowing that the Sega building was gone, Dejiko was gone, Tora no Ana was gone. I expected it to be kind of lame, uh, but I was pleasantly surprised with what I found. Maybe I would find it to be less impactful if I return, if and when I return, I should say. Uh, but it's still enjoyable nevertheless. I suppose I have to find myself a time machine. Suyo Kiss. And there goes the last of my monster. I've seen Black Lagoon. Gift. I haven't seen this. This second season of Jigoku Shoujo. And that's it for this one. Now let's head over to 2007. One of these days I was going to watch Shuffle Memories. I believe it's like either a sequel or a retelling of the show. I wasn't a huge fan of Shuffle to begin with, but I really liked the character design, so I wanted to return to it. When you went to Japan, was there anything that stood out to you in particular while there? I suppose a lot of things, but um, let's see. Food was exceptionally cheap. The trains were fantastic. Like I became a train otaku while I was there. And they're super convenient. Like trains pass by every 5 minutes. Exceptionally fast, really easy to, uh, top off your IC card, which is what you scan to get into it. Um, let's see what else. In terms of like otaku stuff, I would say, uh, I was surprised on how many older otaku were around, especially those shopping for uh, 18 plus materials. Like it wasn't unusual to see like an elderly dude like buying a stack of Jav DVDs or uh, lewd tankobon in like in Book Off, for example. There was this lad who was buying a bunch of stuff. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that there was still older lads into the hardcore otaku scene, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be me in a couple decades. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff, I guess. Another thing about Akiba, the first day I was there, like I saw no maids. Like the maids were MIA, and I was low key hoping that there was gonna be a maid that would hand me a flyer, because there was actually a few. There's a few maids, but they were just kind of standing around, uh, and they weren't interacting with at least me, because I guess they were scared of the foreigner radiating otaku energy. They were like, "Oh, Nijigen otaku coming through." Um, but I really wanted one of them to approach me and try to hand me a flyer to get me into their shop, so then I could be like Kyomi na or Sanjigen onna Kyomi nai, and just like shut them down. A few maids, but it was far less than you thought. And they like I said, they just basically ignored me. I was there on what was it? It was like Children's Day or something. It was a Monday and it was a holiday. Everything was open and it was pretty busy. It's just that I guess there's not too much maid activity these days. Which I wasn't gonna go to a maid cafe to begin with. Um, but I like I said, I just wanted to shut one down. I think they were just scared of foreigners. Uh, Wangan Midnight, the first time it's appeared today. There's Umisho, Higurashi. Mushi Uta is a weird show. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen it compared to Boogie Pop somewhere. Da Capo 2 sketchbook. This 2007 chart is being filled out nicely, I will say. I gotta watch Kimmy Kiss as well. They can't speak English, maybe. Yeah, that's certainly true. When I was there, I had the impression, like, I almost felt secondhand embarrassment sometimes. Because, like, I walked into, or if I would walk by a place and they would have, like, Japan likes to use English and English language, like, in phrases and shit. And if I walked into, for example, a cafe, and their name was in English or Italian or something, I walked in and I'm like, do these people feel embarrassed that like they work in this place and they don't really understand the language and now someone is here that could possibly call them out on it? But I didn't. And I have a decent working knowledge of Japanese, so I was able to get by. This ghost town. Does Japan still care about moe scene nowadays, according to your experience in Japan? Not really. It's 100% idle now. There was a blog I wrote a while back about this, the slow death of moe. But the TLDR of it is that like moe used to be much bigger, obviously, but after like the rise of mobile games and stuff, especially with Idolmaster Love Live, it's less about moe and more about like waifu collectors, I call them, like games with 100,000 waifus in them, like Kankole and Azur Lane and uh, and that reminds me, Uma Musume is massive over there. Like you hardly see it over here, but like Uma Musume advertisements are like in Japan everywhere. Like it's kind of surprising. But those shows are pushed more to the forefront. Like a property with more marketable characters, or a property with characters that would appeal to the broadest range of people by having the most amount of characters in them, are more popular. So that's why there was a lot of Love Live. Yeah, there was Genshin as well. Genshin ads prominently featured in my last video. Walking on Akiba Strip. It was like a Genshin ad and then a maid cafe ad on a giant billboard in like one shot. It's like the two worst things. Well, I actually don't mind Genshin that much. When were you in Japan? I went earlier. I went from January 4th to the 12th. January 4th to the 12th. I was in Akiba on the 9th. I kind of wish I was there for Comiket, though I'm going to try to go next year for Comiket. Yeah, moe is a feeling can never die. Because like in Akiba, if you look in the right places, there's still moe otaku around, and there's still the hardcore Genshiken Akiba K otaku. It's just they're not hanging out in gamers, for example, because gamers is just like new shit. They're in like the obscure locations of Surugaya and stuff. It's around. You just have to look. Like there was this one floor in Surugaya where it was just eroge, and I couldn't show much of it because there was a bunch of lewd ads and stuff. But they had a bunch of big box eroge, galge, PC games. It was pretty incredible. What was your favorite dish that you had in Japan? There was this one udon shop that I hit up. It was close to the Airbnb where I stayed at. It was in around it was Mikawashima Station in that general area. But there was this one little udon shop that I just stumbled across the first night I got there. I was like completely dead, and I show up. It's this one little izakaya style thing. One dude running the whole thing, and probably the best udon. The best udon that I've ever had. There's a heck of a ton. Yeah, it's certainly more moe galge back in the day. Yeah, I think Uma Musume is a little bit bigger. It's a cultural thing as well, since like horse bedding is more of a thing in Japan as it is in the United States. Because like everybody knows that Japan doesn't really allow gambling legally. That's why whatchamacallit. I gotta pause this. My music. That's why pachinko is so popular, but horse betting as well, because it's a way to gamble and subvert the system. Same. I don't play Genshin, but I swear every time I go on YouTube, I see a Genshin ad. I did end up briefly getting into Genshin after the fact. People who know the YouTube or Never Knows Best made a video. It was like a serious critique of Genshin Impact, and I watched it, and I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot because it's free, and I played it for a little bit, and it was fairly enjoyable. It's not a bad game. But yeah, I think it's sort of slowed down in popularity overall. Where was my gore shit playlist? Alright, and that's the end of this one. Let me just make sure to save this chart. I think that's about it. Shit. Yeah, it's all gotcha on VTubers. I had my VTuber arc for a little bit. I briefly got into VTubers because I realized that VTubers were actually really based in like post-female. And I kind of got into it, but then I quickly fell out of it because it's such a time commitment. And then most of the time, I mean, that's why I don't really watch like regular streamers to begin with, like people on Twitch and stuff. Because like if you watch their, like for example, if they're playing a game and you start watching their streams, like you might show up into the streams like halfway through they're playing the game, and then you really don't get the experience of seeing the game through. Or even worse, if they're playing a game you don't enjoy or you don't care for. VTubers, I'd say they're a little bit more. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say they're moe. It's similar. It's like tapping into that same waifu collection attitude that people have towards like Love Live and stuff. They're more idols than anything else. I wouldn't say they're e-girls though. But the drama surrounding them could be similar to that. EN VTubers are a plague. I 100% agree with that. Only watch JP. And JP is actually pretty decent. Like, I will still consider watching some streams. Uh, because, like, it also helps with language acquisition, like, unironically. I can't get into VTubers. I'd rather watch anime. Similar sentiment to me. I watched them for a little bit, but then I realized I'd just rather be watching a show. It's not really something. It's like something you'd watch if you had nothing else and no other interests. I guess. If you want to commit your whole life to VTubers, and it's kind of like its own medium of entertainment. Korone is the only VTuber that matters in my little head. Uh, I would say hard agree. She's the only one who plays decent games. I see. But I also noticed that while VTubers are still in the Bishojo idol type of thing, there is a little less moe. Yeah, it's less moe. It's more like corporate, I guess. Kind of like how Love Live could be considered moe on like a very surface level, but I would never consider it a moe show. It just has like moe elements that have been reappropriated after many years of like otaku trends that you can't really consider it moe anymore. EN VTubers miss the point. They don't understand the culture and just act like e-girls with anime avatar. Yeah, I just can't stand hearing the English language sometimes. Um, and it sounds so much worse. That's why like I can't watch Japanese anime dubbed in English. So English VTubers give me that same energy. I'd rather listen to a JP streamer and practice my Japanese and try to watch an English. Immersion sessions. I'm interested. Kind of found it hard to get into VTubers, even though most of them are just on YouTube. Yeah, I think it's definitely a time sink. That's the biggest problem. Calliope Mori rap. Oh shit. Do I have that? Do I have the song? The T Pazolite remix of that song goes in so hard. I enjoyed playing it on Osu. Like it made me unironically enjoy the song. Yeah, this one. T Pazolite went in with that remix. I like Pekora's how do you call it? Like her vocal tick, I guess, like adding Peko to stuff. At least the most interesting character or VTuber, I guess I should say, to listen to, because he tries to differentiate herself. Rap, indeed, rap in quotations, dude. Mori's raps are like, I guess that brings into the whole conversation of VTuber music, which is kind of a mistake. Suise is the only one who can actually sing. Everyone else just kind of tries and rides off the popularity that they have already gathered. Yeah, gotta love VTuber music. I don't think there's any VTuber music I actually enjoy. Can I pop this out? Did I pin something? In my opinion, it appears that Pekora is a bit more moe than other VTubers, but I'm not sure. I guess she talks with a similar to like a moe vocal tick, kind of like how Dejiko does, like appending yo to stuff, like how she does Peko. I thought YouTube took down her channel. Is it pronounced Zemex? Zemex? They did. They took down Artificial Night Sky, but they can't take down the true main channel now. Sekai no Teki. Second channel. I'm gonna be uploading everything else on a new channel. I'll link it here though. Yeah, definitely more moe, at least superficially. It's interesting to see the evolution of moe. You don't really see it anymore. So, just I guess a recap, because I told the story like around 15 minutes into this stream. But YouTube took down Artificial Night Sky because it infringed upon their policy regarding sexual content. And basically their wording is intentionally vague, essentially stating that they can take down anything they ultimately deem that is breaking the rules. So, for example, if they didn't like my video, then they could be like, hey, we're going to take down your entire channel. But it's completely up to their moderation team to decide that. But the video was originally taken down a couple weeks ago for the same reason, which I thought was weird since the video had existed on YouTube for at least 2 years up until that point. But I tried to re-upload it with a little bit more mosaics, but they immediately took it down and they're like, no, this ain't happening. And instead they took down the entire channel. But luckily I have everything archived, so I'm just going to re-upload everything. I also have Odyssey. I'm not sure if Odyssey is base or cringe these days anymore. But I have an account there, and all the videos are still up, and you could stream them in case no one archives stuff. Link posted. I don't stream on Twitch. I'm not particularly a fan of Twitch, and I don't go on there. And plus, I stream on YouTube since most people will probably have this my channel saved on there, so they'll know if I'm streaming at all. I remember your under 17 video. That was my favorite video from you so far, especially since the band is more or less known. Yeah, I had a ton of fun making that video. And I enjoyed researching a lot, especially on Momo Haruko. Such a cool person. But would you agree Twitch is a better platform to grow your audience for streaming? I'm not really sure. Possibly. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very familiar with Twitch. I've never really watched Twitch streams to begin with. I've poked my head in there occasionally, but not for long, honestly. But I'm not necessarily trying to grow an audience, so I wouldn't say that it's a good place, or I wouldn't be the correct source to ask that, I guess. If anything, I'm intentionally trying to keep a smaller audience. Now I'm gonna have to listen to some under 17. Ooh, Ichai Popotan. Alright, how long have I been going? Holy shit, it's only been almost 4 hours. Alright, I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream pretty soon. So when is the hair wash gonna happen? Possibly never. It's an annual hair wash. Let me get the Lucky Star screenshot. I need to search through my anime screenshots. Here's all the folder. Lucky. I have meticulously sorted all my anime screenshots. Shout out to those who do the same. I have so many Lucky Star screenshots. I need Konata doing the hair wash. I know I have. Oh, here we go. Here we go. timotei. Just go bald so you have to wash your hair again. Or you can just not wash your hair. we gotta go bald. I mean, just speaking from experience of someone who has long hair, you don't necessarily have to wash your hair every day. In fact, you shouldn't, because conditioner is more damaging than it is good. Or not conditioner, but shampoo. Need some of those natural oils to fuel the neat energy. Alright, I think I'm going to be wrapping things up here. Let's see. Oh, 242. Balding was better aerodynamics. Gonna dry your hair out. Well, let's see. Let's get another based Lucky Star screenshot on the screen, and then I'm going to wrap stuff up. I think Konata doing something here. What's this? Oh, here we go. There's a new type. Shout out to all the new types in the audience right now. You know who you are. Thanks for everyone who showed up to the stream. Switch to live chat on top. Oh, here we go. I thought I was on live chat. I don't think I missed anything though. Yep. Thanks for the stream. NP. I'm going to try to stream again. You said you're working right now. How do you like your job? I basically work hell desk, except a little bit better pay, I guess. It's pretty decent. Of course, I dislike it, and I absolutely despise working with people and sort of doing customer service, forward-facing type of stuff. But I make enough money that it kind of renders a lot of my gripes pointless. Because now I'm able, I get to be Ami pre-order boy. Yeah, I'm going to try to go live again. I generally don't like to go live. Generally speaking, because I feel like whenever I do live, a lot of what I want to say doesn't come out correctly. Hence why I vlog more. But maybe I'll do it again. I just have to find something else to do in the background. Otherwise, I'll just be have trouble filling the air, I guess. How about data entry jobs? It's remote and you don't have to talk to people. Yeah, I guess so, but I went to school to do IT stuff. So, and I get paid significantly more doing IT as opposed to data entry. And at the end of the day, my job specifically isn't that bad, all things considered. I've had worse jobs. So I can't really complain too much. Ja mata. Alright. Pars Pion is going to sign off. Thanks for everybody who tuned into the stream. Jane. Maybe play video. Yeah, probably. Maybe I'll play a game or something. Something I could do like in a second monitor. Maybe Minecraft. I've been meaning to get back into Minecraft. Or just grinding in a JRPG, like you said. I still play video. I'm actually getting more into video this year. Currently wrapping up Sonic Frontiers. See everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Stream will be archived, and if I set everything up, or if I set everything up correctly, then the chat will be archived as well. Peace.